See how I look here. Good morning. Hi, Jessica. Good morning. Well, here we are on day 21 of this 90-day intensive training um, for something. This journey is already so much different than I thought it was going to be when we started. But what I now realize is what I was thinking it was going to be was where I got hung up. And I did not trust this process, or I did not see this process. Not that I don't trust now, I do trust it, but I couldn't quite see yet the direction that we were going to go in this training. And so I was thinking that it was going to be a bunch of knowledge kind of things. But what I'm finding is it's really becoming more about us fine tuning our abilities to be with energy. So whether we're being with the energies that are pouring in right now, and it was such an intensive weekend of energy. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some of the symptoms that I personally and in my family that we're having, as well as in our conversational family in the Ascension Bank, what I'm seeing in our collective. And then I'm going to go into, instead of letting the cards do the read, I pulled 3 cards that I thought would be kind of fun to break down what is happening today, because we are certainly, oh, where's my phone? We are certainly, our cup is running over in many different ways. And that can feel, what I'm finding and what I'm learning about this process is we are being trained to also be in the receptivity of our cup runneth, our cup running over, our being the Taurus energy. So when our cups run over, we then send that beam that out. We've talked about it. We have plenty to spare and share. It comes out of us, and then through the law of receptivity, we then receive it back in. So with our cups running over at the moment, that will, depending on where you are in your own ascension journey, it will depend how it's intense right now, but it's going to depend on what kind of scenarios or circumstances you're working with. So I'm going to break this down a little bit for you, but I want to get my notes actually. Let me find them. So while I'm messing around with this thing at the moment, I do want to just put out, there's a lot of ideas that are coming through with how we can reach more people with this, with what we're doing here with this community. And the Open the Storehouse movement is actually growing quicker than I thought. So what the Open the Storehouse moments are is sharing those moments when your cup runneth over, those storehouse moments, those payments of energetic kind, of the energetic kind, the currency that you feel when you see a beautiful moment, when you witness a beautiful moment and your heart expands, when you experience and see, taste, whatever it is, you have that 5D experience. That is the energy that we are coding within our grid work right now. Actually, I've been corrected. It's already been coded in the grid work. Our job in this community now is to bring the visual, the reality, the physical reality to the forefront so people can see it. We've been talking a lot about how we're building the energetic grid of the 5D world. We're feeding it. We're charging it. It is already on, it's operating. And now this is how what our superhuman training is how do we be with these energies to understand how to use them, to manipulate them in the higher intentionality, so that we are now understanding how to pull from our karmic storehouse the manifestations of our 5D reality. And that is happening as we speak. Therefore, that's why the request for the Open the Storehouse movement is actually being used as an algorithm almost to start to build a visual library, so to speak, that expansion is happening in a world where many people now are seeing a very big depression of their lives. So physical symptoms, I want to talk about this really quickly because it's important. And I say it's important simply because I had noticed in my own being that I moved through much of the physical symptoms that were happening. I was talking about them a lot in Ukraine, migraines, moving through the darker densities. So as those darker emotional densities were being purged out of my own system, and I'm sure for most people, the physical symptoms then hurt, right, as they came out. The physical symptoms in the form of headaches, in form of, heart palpitations, in the form of dis-ease in some form in the body, where the body was compromised. That's typically where many of us have felt our physical symptoms as these densities rise out. Stiffness, um, I had noticed in my own experience that a lot of that had started to calm down. So I know that meant that I had worked through much of my stuff, my denser stuff, still working through it. However, I kind of went to the opposite pendulum swing, where when these energies, these intense energies in probably let me just finish that thought. The opposite pendulum swing in the last couple of months only, but I had noticed an increase in these really intense days brought more joy, brought more peace, brought more bliss than the more painful stuff. So I've been noticing that these energies are getting easier and easier and easier to anchor in when they come in. That was until this weekend. In the last 3 days, as many of you know, you follow the same things I do. We have seen, I don't even know, I've lost count of the solar flares. And at one point, we would get maybe 2, 3, 4 solar flares a month. We got double digit solar flares in the last 3 days. A lot of people are feeling disassociated. We've had that conversation on our Ascension incubator call with our small incubator group. And I was feeling very disassociated, and a couple of us were. And I say that simply because what's happening is we are literally moving through time and space, through space and time so quickly, with these energies flooding in as heavily as they are, flying in from the solar activity, from these solar flares through the CMEs. We are getting updates almost by the second, and it feels like it's just constant, because these are coming in at such a veracity that we are doing our best to hold this light. And even for those of us who are experienced at holding this much light, this weekend was a doozy. So if you are feeling a little disassociated, a little scattered, foggy brains, you're like, wait, where am I? And you may be asking that, because I know I've been walking around just in my own mind, being like, gosh, where am I? It looks like I'm in the same place, but it doesn't feel the same. And it feels very trippy. It feels like a really trippy environment that I'm in at the moment. It's the only way I can really describe it. So I know I pay attention to these energies. I feel them. I'm intimate with them. They are so different. They feel so different, and they have completely pummeled me this weekend. When I say they pummeled me, it wasn't the emotional depression kind of pressing down that I'm feeling. It was more, my experience was more like a pressing down of ideas, of connecting dots, of connecting dots, putting pieces together, and it's been coming in so fast. These dots connecting, the clarity, that it's almost overwhelming my system. My cup runneth over of, I see how all this is coming together. I see how it's all coming together. And it just takes me so high that I have to stop it. I've got to kind of stop the flow of energy so that I can ground it. And how I've been grounding it is by napping, literally, like every day, like solid, hard, 2-hour naps, which I don't tend to do. I love naps, but usually I'll take a little power nap and that's fine. But this weekend, and I've also noticed it in Bud, also, our lower chakras are getting a pretty big update. And I've had very, how do I put this? I've had very lucid energy sessions happening to me. And I can feel the work being done on the lower chakras. Again, remember that a lot of this energy now of these 90 days is pulling from our storehouse into the physical world. Our first 3 chakras are associated with the physical world. So in order for us to birth or bring in the manifestation of our storehouse payouts into physical reality, our lower 3 chakras have to be cleared. So a lot of any traumas, anything that you might have stored that's denser in those more survival, the spaces, the space for family, if you're having any family issues, the community issues, relationships, these are the things that pertain to your physical life. So all of those energies are being restored right now. As they are being restored, it, just like anything, stuff has to purge. The old has to purge. So if you have trauma, if you have of any kind, if you've had, and that means a lot of different things. Trauma can be from sexual or physical trauma. It can be from emotional trauma that may have gotten stored in those areas. Also in your lower chakras, if you had any kind of how do I put this? Any kind of attached fear around survival, how you're going to pay your bills, and any money fears, like survival fears, your root chakra is probably going to be acting up that area. So if you have digestive stuff going on, you're constipated or diarrhea, however your body typically goes when it's stressed out, you may be experiencing that. I have a lot of tenderness in my, where I'll say my first and second chakras are the root and the sacral. It makes complete sense to me. So I'm just allowing it to be and to purge the way it's going to purge. And it's quite bloated. So in all vulnerability, you can guess what that might look like. Bud is having digestive issues as well and has been really uncomfortable for the last 2 days. The dogs both have diarrhea, so I've seen these energies and how they're taking their effect on the physical body. So take care of yourself and allow these to integrate. Because what's happening right now, why our cups are running over, or your cup runneth over, because it's going to be depending, your cup is going to runneth over depending on what is required from your storehouse. So this is the first card I chose for us. This is the star. So how I saw this is, it's right now with all of these energies coming in. If you can imagine that every single being on this planet, their higher self now is just pouring at this point. At this point, it's like we are running out of time, whatever that means. And we are just pouring these energies into you at this point. So depending on where you are in your ascension journey or your healing journey, as you get poured into with these energies, bombarded, fire hosed. She is just like, do, I'm going to pour and I'm going to pour and I'm going to pour and I'm going to pour. And for some of us who've done our healing, it may feel like joy. It may feel like new ideas. I have had an influx of new ideas coming into my being around this at the Ascension Bank, around what is the vision of that. I'm being called to put a council together for the Ascension Bank to start having a team of how do we expand this beautiful community, but how do we do it in a 5D way? I can't figure that out myself because I'm not sure what that looks like, but I have my ideas, and I would love to have a council, not that I want, but we are being called to have a council to really start to expand community in a way that keeps the integrity of the circles that we have in the Ascension Bank, but also puts these communities out all over, in person, physical communities, as well as our digital community, so that we can start supporting people who now are dealing with their cup runneth over, but it's runneth over with all the things, and it's now their higher self says, sweet one, it's time for you to see. I'm pouring into your karmic storehouse so it starts to pay out. And this payout is coming in the form of some plot twists that might be very painful for some of us, for people people who we know, for family members, and yet we understand this process, and we are called to help at this point, because we are also being called to really refine our skill sets in how to just be in peace and be that 0 point for ourselves and for others. So our cup is runneth over, and as she pours into our universal connection, as I have this universal connection with my soul star. My soul star is my higher self. You do too. Our higher selves are pouring into our soul connection, and through that sun, those unique codes come through, and they are opening up parts of our DNA. We've talked about this on many times now on the daily tune in, but as they pour in, our consciousness, our DNA is updated through the sunlight. And we have always been able to manage when the sunlight was pretty moderate and was pretty average, but now it is intensified. It is I mean, y'all know, is pouring forth, and with all of the different solar storms and the solar flares, CMEs, the eclipse, everything, the new moon, everything that has just transpired in the last 3 days, that is some overwhelming energy. And for those who don't understand this process, have never heard of it, or want to try to keep avoiding it, they cannot avoid it anymore, because what's happening is their DNA, their higher self DNA their 5D DNA is waking up even more. It's becoming more. It's not waking up even more. It's already has been, but now it's being activated. So the new consciousness is coming online with this huge charge that we've gotten over these last 3 days. So the experience of what these 3 days and probably throughout this week is going to bring is the wide array of symptoms, of a wide array of experience. It is ours to help people understand by simply being in our own peace, integrating these energies and listening. The Ace of Cups is happening here. So what's happening is the veil is very thin with when this energy is coming in. Our electromagnetic field starts to thin out, and the electromagnetic field is how we manifest reality. Our bodies, our beings are electromagnetic. Our thoughts are the electric. Our feelings are the magnet. You put them together in a very charged environment, and they become reality. They become density. They become matter. The more we then nurture that electromagnetic charge and keep charging it, that is how it becomes reality. So what's happening with all of these new insights and all of the things going on, the overwhelming cup runneth over of my body feels like this, my energy feels like this, my feelings, and now all of a sudden I'm super excited, or I'm really afraid, whatever the thoughts are. That is what is being charged, supercharged, and double charged at the moment. So it is really important that we're paying attention to the thoughts that are delivered from our higher self as she pours in, and it comes through as peaceful ideas of peace, ideas of love, right? And they come into the chalice, the vessel that is you are the vessel. Your vessel overflows because you are in a storehouse moment, completely with the integration of these energies. You overflow, and as it comes down, these ideas, these beautiful little nuggets of ideas come through, and you answer that call in the physical form. And before you know it, you have a pond of lily pads, a pond of possibility, a pond of possibility that is being nurtured in this moment. One last part of this is, let me grab my water really quickly. Just want to share one more thing. Yeah, Jessica, you're napping. I mean, I keep saying, I think for the last couple of days, I've said, like, even Bud napped. He's never napped. He's napped almost every day in the last 2, 3, probably 4 days, which is funny to me because he just doesn't allow. I don't know if he doesn't allow. He just doesn't need to nap. I guess I don't know. I don't understand that. But I'm a napper, so that when he falls asleep, I'm like, okay, perfect opportunity. I'm out like a light, and especially this weekend, man. I like hard nap sleep too. Like that means when you're napping hard or when you are called to nap, that is the same, almost the same thing as when you do an update on your computer and it has to restart completely in order for to finalize the update. That is us when we have gotten our update to where we we're fully updated in that moment. If we are called to sleep, we have to sleep. I mean, I would say we have to, but this is the choice, right? You have a choice, because if you're called to sleep and you sleep, when you wake up, then you've been fully integrated. What I have found though, when you wake up and you're fully integrated with, or you're fully updated, you wake up into a different reality. So there's like a disassociated feeling because you're kind of like, wait, where am I? What just happened? And it's just literally because you're coming in and looking through brand new eyes with a whole different consciousness that's just been integrated into your being. So sleep is a really weird thing. Waking up from sleep is a really weird thing because we are moving through space and time so quickly. It feels like whiplash. It feels a little nauseating, feels a little confusing. And because we are just being blasted into the 5D expression of Earth, of our planet. Lastly, the coolest thing for me this morning, I was sitting out. I did a really vulnerable video for our Ascension Bank members because I wanted to explain what was happening in that moment. I had just showered, my hair was wet. It was super vulnerable. But when I woke up this morning, I went outside and I was sitting there for a little bit and I watched there. We were just surrounded by white. Like it wasn't fog. It was just, I always talk about it. So it was like how I visualized the Ascension Column. We couldn't see the island across. I could barely see, like right past the tip of Saranda there. So it was just like we were in this white enclosed um, column. It was really cool. And as I sat there, all of a sudden, I was like, what am I seeing? And I'm not going to call it mist. It was literally a veil. It wasn't mist. It wasn't clouds. It came all the way down the water. And it was through this veil, this big mega yacht came. But we've had a couple mega yachts here and they were big. This one was massive, like stupid, ridiculous, massive. So as it came through, immediately I got the message. This is the storehouse. This is the ship coming in laden with treasure. It has just come through. It has just come through from the spiritual into the vessel of you and into physical reality. And that ship, because it was so massive, it's a mothership. The mothership of your storehouse is here. And from my perspective, and from this moment in time when I sat there and watched that ship come through that veil, it came out of nowhere and literally came in, and it was the biggest mega yacht I have seen out here. And probably, well, it's the biggest mega yacht I've ever seen at all. And to have that be the symbolic communication from my guides to say, what we need you to communicate is that you have seen the mothership come in. And that mothership is where everybody's individual storehouse resides. And because it was in the physical reality, because I could see it with my physical eyes, from my perspective, that mothership of the storehouse is here. Now we look for it. And now we look for how it shows up. And we've been saying this, but it feels like a different confirmation to the fact that it's ours to pay attention to, because our storehouse is going to be opened it's going to be unique to all of us, but it will be open in a very subtle way, in a very subtle. See how it's all open here, but there's only these little bits and pieces. These are the subtle pieces, the subtle keys that will open up the massive payout of the storehouse. Your payout will resonate, will be on the same resonance as your base frequency with where you are. Okay. So as you kind of get these little synchronistic things that just seem, that's interesting. And you have those moments where you get to choose what in that interesting moment, choose the one that your soul would lead you down. Choose the decision that is the unknown, probably. Choose the one that you really want to choose, because when you choose this then leads up and opens the valve a little bit more to the storehouse to be revealed in physical form in your world. This is our practice for today. This is what we're tuning into. And I think from here on out, actually, but this is just what we are tuning into, this small, remote little piece of information. And that piece of information is your storehouse is here, your cup is running over. Therefore, it's all around you, all of the different opportunities to open the key or find the key that opens up your storehouse. It's already opened. It's already been open. But what the key really is, you're in your consciousness to be able to willingly and to consciously open it more and more for as much as you can handle. Because these cup runneth over moments is when we have to know, we have to moderate how much energy comes in so we can moderate how much energy goes out. So this is where we practice the regulation, I guess, of how much we receive and how much we pay out. It's an interesting message. It might be something to listen to a couple of times because there's a lot of coding. There's a lot of things in between the words here that feel really important and that are poking and prodding some additional things within me to contemplate. So that's where we are. That's what's happening right now. We are in integration phase, integrating this brand new update, which has been a doozy, and it continues. So not the faster, but the more you can just be with it, the gentler it is. If there's any point where you kind of stop the integration, it continues to pile up. So when you're like, okay, I'm ready, and you open it up, now you're like, there's a lot more to integrate. So keeping up and allowing yourself to take a nap, drinking lots and lots of water, um, you know, taking time away from these damn screens. This is the time to get away from the screens, because this is how we start hearing the communication louder and clearer with our teams. So it's the time to be really conscious, really aware, really pay attention to the subtle changes that are happening to you, but are vastly, vastly different from who you've been. It's really fascinating. Okay, let's go see what you guys say. I'm not a napper. Good morning. Hola, beautiful souls. Hi, Lisa. Knowing that you are getting better and better every single day. Yes, I napped a lot this weekend too. Felt very groggy. Yeah, groggy. Just waking up, but you're still groggy, and like that disassociated feeling is all I could come up with. I'm like, I just feel like I'm in one world and another world, and I know that's what is happening. It's just when we take a nap, I know that there's been an integration, and once that update is fully integrated, the operating system is completely new. So when we wake up and we went to bed in one dimension and wake up in another, we're still kind of like, it looks the same, which our mind is like, oh, I'm waking up, I'm on my couch. But your consciousness is like, hold on, let's integrate that. Pay attention. Things are a little bit different. Things how you feel. It's so subtle, but really, really drastically different. Sleep dream state is another of our dimensions realities. Yeah. Oh yeah, Lisa, good point. So we're not only, we go to sleep in one dimension and then we go astrally somewhere else and come back into a higher reality of the dimension we just left. So yeah, good. I'm putting this into some logical kind of thing, but it's all in consciousness, and yet it's all different energies, and therefore it all has to blend back together and meld together to integrate into the new update. My scalp has been tender the last 2 days also. Oh, interesting. I know what you're talking about. I've had that. I haven't felt that recently, but I know exactly what you're talking about. What comes to me is a lot of times when that happens, it just is kind of like the message I've always gotten is like it just you need to like kind of loosen up because there's so much going on in the chakra areas that there's like energy coming in and out kind of I don't think that's very scientific, but this is how I see it. So there's just so much of an exchange going on that even your physical scalp is like, what's happening right now? So just give it some love, maybe give it like a nice massage in the shower and stuff. So um that's interesting. If anyone else has any thoughts on that, because the scalp is so related to the crown chakra. But that's where we are, y'all. It's a beautiful time. I'm going to highly recommend if you have been on the fence about being a part of the Ascension Bank. What I see happening in there is it's very different from the page that's put together that tells you what you get. It is very much not that. There is that, and yet it is so much more than that for me because we have this community that we talk about the stuff. We're all exchanging like what's your experience and putting things together. We're piecing our each of our perspectives together every single week on our gatherings, and it's putting together a bigger picture for what we are navigating at this moment. And it's a beautiful group. We are international. We are all around the globe. Therefore, we have global perspectives of this ascension process. We're bringing stories from our own homes and our own towns and our own experiences, and it's just really cool what's happening in there. And we are being called to come together in physical reality. So there's a lot of beautiful unfoldment in within the Ascension Bank that I hadn't even seen yet when I was just assembling it. I'm just a facilitator of it, but the Ascension Bank has some pretty beautiful minds in there that we're all working together. And these messages now are a co-creative effort of what we are uncovering together in our weekly calls. I then bring those messages and those experiences as a collective message for us here in the Daily Tune In. So thank you all in the Ascension Bank for helping me assemble these messages to co-create these messages. Thanks for all of you in the Daily Tune In who come in here and pop in and say, yeah, me too. And we understand that we are all in this process together, and having this community has been the most beautiful thing, that the beautiful gift that I have given myself. So I honor those who have seen it and come here. So thank you all so much. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Rest. I have some crazy lady that's like, I'm going to call her crazy, but she's down there yelling and screaming. So her cup runneth over, but hers is with anger. So I'm going to beam her some of our beautiful love into her heart and give her some peace, give her the clarity to understand how to respond differently to whatever it is that's upsetting her. And that's how we just be with this process. That's how we be the light workers. When we see suffering, when we see pain, we simply just send love from our hearts. We don't have to go and save anybody. We don't have to go and say anything. And we could just simply be the peace and know for them that the highest and best good is unfolding. And we just simply have to be that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for this group. Love to you all. See you tomorrow. Mwah! Bye. Care Bear stare. Oh, that's cute. Care Bear stare. Oh yeah, the Care Bear stare. Okay, get it. I like that. Care Bear stare.